Lost the Wi-Fi, but that's okay. I'm going to keep going until it comes back. Here's a question from Canada. What would you guys be doing if you were not acting? What other career could you see yourself having?
I would love to study genetics.
Why?
I find it really fascinating, and I find like that world sort of untapped in a lot of ways. Just fascinated by it.
Did you ever study it in high school or something?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
I study I
You could read up on it.
read about it, yeah, but I've never.
Wi-Fi is back. Life is good.
Oh, good. Thank God.
What other job could you see yourself
I
doing?
think I'd be a butler.
He would be a great butler.
Hello, sir. I would be an oceanographer. I like the idea of and there's this new. I was having a fancy about it. You basically would study oceanography, and then but there's also ocean archaeology as well. So you kind of basically you're diving all the time, but kind of it's wrecks, but it's also other stuff.
Have you ever scuba and all that?
Yeah, I'm into that.
Great, I love it.
Wow, I didn't know that. Have you seen James Cameron's Explore the Depth or something? It's like a documentary.
Yeah.
I just watched it on a plane the other day. It's really fascinating. You'd probably like it.
Oh, cool, yeah.
He also did one called Ghosts of the Abyss, where they went down, I think, to see the actual Titanic.
Oh,
Yeah, they did.
yeah.
There's clips of that in this,
Yeah.
but it's interesting.
Here's a question from Laura, who wants to know, what's the most embarrassing thing that's happened to you guys on the set?
On this set?
Goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's too really embarrassing because we're all pretty light. Like, we all laugh a lot, and we're all really... Like, nobody takes themselves too seriously, I think, in order to be embarrassed.
Yeah, I mean, what would that constitute? Tell us. Give us some ideas.
A most embarrassing moment? Is there a time where you just couldn't get a line out, or where you were trying to do something and an action moment that just kept falling
Or
apart?
are you going to say the trousers thing?
I wasn't, but if you want to, you can.
No, I'm not going to say it.
What? It sounds good.
Oh,
There
it's
was just
good.
a moment.
Yeah.
Involving trousers.
Yes.
I'm like, you don't have to. Okay, you don't have to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I don't think... We just laugh. Like, if we can't remember a line, we'll just laugh. It's not like an embarrassing...
It's not like,
I think maybe sometimes that gets frustrating for other people.
waiting, probably.
Okay, here's a question from Chasing Rainbows. How badass are both of you in real life on a scale from 1 to Tris or 1 to Tobias?
I think it's 1, 2, 4. How badass.
Is that pretentious to answer of ourselves? Should we answer for each other?
No,
Okay,
you
answer
can
for each other.
yourself.
Okay. Do you consider yourself a badass in real life?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I definitely consider myself a strong person. That's...
Yeah, I would say I'm like taking risks.
Okay. Here's a question from, this must be like a fan Twitter of yours, because she calls herself Shailene Army. Were there any stunts that you wanted to do but weren't allowed to?
Yes.
Like what?
Mainly the stunts that I really wanted to do were on the first film, but this film actually, it's in a trailer. There's a lot of Tris chasing a house sequence, and I got to do some of it, but I didn't get to do a lot of the wire work and the fun gymnast moves because we were filming at the same time, so they were on second unit doing that.
Okay.
So that seemed fun.
How about you?
What did I not want?
Something you wanted to do, but maybe they didn't let you.
I didn't have the high wire stuff, so it was just beating people up, so I could do it. Yeah.
He's good at that.
One thing that's really great about the second one is Kate Winslet is back, but then you also have Janet McTeer and Octavia Spencer, Naomi Watts, all these great people. Is there an actor that you guys have never worked with that is kind of high on your wish list? That's a question from Gabriella.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Lots,
Like who?
I would love to work with Mark Ruffalo. I think he's...
Yeah, he seems like a dude, doesn't he? He seems cool.
like just like solid and so good. He's so good in everything.
Yeah, he's very good.
But there's so many people. I mean,
How about you, Theo?
There's so many. I was watching Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid the other day, and I was thinking Redford. He's very cool. Yeah.
Okay, here's a question from these names are so hard. Malfoy. It's either Malfoy EK or Malfoy.
Isn't that a character?
Harry Potter.
Malfoy is Harry Potter, I know, but how much have the relationship? How much? What? How much has the relationship between Tris and Tobias changed? This says since Insurgent, but let's say how it's changed in this movie compared to the first one.
I think it's changed quite a lot in the sense the first one, you know, Tris is trying to figure everything out, and you know, Four is this character who's kind of there, but also kind of fucks off all the time. And shit, am I allowed to swear on this?
I am. Well, you know,
okay.
It's kind of too late at this point.
Apologies.
It is live.
Whereas this one, I think, you know, in a way the roles are slightly reversed in that way. I.e., you know, Shay's character, she's kind of hell bent on revenge essentially, and Four is trying to temper her temper in a way. He's trying to make her, you know, think before she acts, and she's also very she's a self-sacrificing person, isn't she? That's the character. So he's trying to stop her doing that and make her kind of less instinctual and maybe take a beat before she does something.
Okay. Anything to add to that?
I thought that was pretty good. I mean, their relationship in this movie. Oh, hello. In the first film, I guess there's more conflict in this movie, which is really nice because that's one of the things that I fell in love with actually when I first read Divergent and Insurgent was the fact that their relationship was much more realistic than some relationships that you see in young adult films. It wasn't, I've said this so many times, but I feel like it is based on truth and really admiration and respect for that other human being and not really involved with the surface level aspects of some of the reasons why you occasionally get infatuated with somebody.
I like that.
So it's nice to see conflict because couples have conflict and partnerships are never going to be stable. You know, they ebb and flow. And I think that that's a nice reality to exhibit.
Here's a question from a Twitter user named Be Brave Cassie. Was it hard to step back into character after being gone?
I actually found it a lot harder than I thought.
Yeah.
Why?
Exactly.
I thought that I would just sort of that it would just sort of be second nature. I remember the first day filming, we were actually standing there. The first day filming was one of the first days, or first scenes in the film. And I think we talked about how we both assumed it would just maybe be a little bit, easier, but I'll speak for myself. But
No, I agree, yeah.
You just go through so many transitions in a year in your own personal life, you know, that I realized me assuming that I'd just go back into being Tris was me assuming I'd go back into being Tris as who Shay was a year prior. And so you have to sort of ignore all your own personal growth and personal progression in order to go back to getting to know someone that you knew really well at a certain time, but not so much at that time.
What about you?
Yeah, no, I agree completely because you know you do other films in between, so you're doing very different characters, and you kind of. And I thought the same. I thought you kind of put the clothes on, although actually we had different clothes because of Amity, but it felt kind of strange in a way. We were both like, oh, shit. It took a little bit of time to get back into it.
It was also hard to jump back into our relationship, as Tris and Four, because the way that this movie opens has been a few weeks from where we left them in Divergent, and so we had to sort of guess like how quickly their relationship would evolve in terms of like, you know, being intimate with one another on like a physical level, and so those are all just thoughts that we had to determine.
I like that. Here's another question from Gabriella, who's from Lithuania. Who was the funniest person to work with on the set of Insurgent?
Probably Miles Teller. Or you? You're really funny.
Funniest person. Kate Winslet's quite funny, isn't she?
Kate is hilarious, yeah. It's true.
And for both of them, for Miles and Kate, is it the kind of thing where they can turn it on and turn it off?
Miles can't turn it off.
You know what it is, though? It's not like, ha-ha funny. They're just very, and you as well, like just very witty people who are very quick to respond with witty remarks, which that's the kind of humor that I always really respond to.
Okay.
That's true.
Angelica wants to know, what were your favorite scenes to shoot in this movie?
I always just automatically be like, the Ferris wheel. Like, oh my God, too many questions to answer.
I quite like that scene at the end where it's you, me, and Miles. I don't know why it was kind of like the momentum of the movie slows a little before then, and then, you know, things kind of kick in and we're like, let's do this.
Yeah.
What's it like to film all the stuff where you're in the sim and you're within those cables and you have to kind of writhe around? I mean, that's got to be some of the most physically challenging stuff to do.
It wasn't physically challenging because I was sort of in this seat. Like, I had buckles around my legs and my torso, so I was very well supported. But you just start to feel a little janky after 5 hours of like squirming, but they're not actually being any tentacles, you know, you're
Right.
making it up. So you really have to let go of your ego of like, do I look ridiculous right now?
Right. Oh, it just went away. Where did it go? Somebody wanted to know what's the schedule of the Allegiant shoots. Are you filming both of them this summer?
No.
Thank God.
Yeah.
So you'll do one at a time.
Yeah.
When do you have to start that?
Later this summer. I don't think we have an exact date yet.
Okay. Here's a question. How do you feel about all the support you get from fans on social media? Do you see it at all? Do you hear about it?
No. I don't see it or hear about it unless we're in, I think, a situation like this and somebody brings it up. But in my day-to-day life, I'm sort of involved in my own world, so it's something that I don't really have direct communication with.
Right. I can just say anecdotally from being involved in this for the past couple of days, there's a lot of very excited fans of both of yours and this movie on Twitter, which is great.
Cool.
That's nice.
Okay, here's a question from Maya. Shailene, what's something that Theo does the most to annoy you?
So many.
Do you do them purposefully, though? That is the question. No, I don't think it's not really an annoyance thing. Like, sometimes there is just in our, you don't really walk away. I don't know, there's not really anything that's like annoying per se.
Probably be a bit grumpy, can
Sometimes I'm like, you can smile, it's fine. but not even that. Like, I think you're not as grumpy as I think you might be.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Well put. Yeah.
Oh, I like this question from a Twitter username Theo James.
Yeah.
That might
That's
even be
me,
you in
actually.
disguise.
Yeah.
This
That's
person
your
wants to
only
know,
social media.
Theo, your fans want to know, what should we call ourselves? This is a great question because there's the Cumber Collective, there's the Chris Pine Nuts. So what so what should they call themselves? Here's some options.
Okay.
The Theologians,
Oh, that's good.
Theolo.
the Theo Jamies, the Theoners.
That just sounds like a woman, maybe.
Woman?
I like the Theologians.
I like the theologians. Yeah, I like that. I think it's good.
Okay.
Because it reflects,
some thinking.
some thinking. Exactly.
All right. I think we just answered a really serious question. Okay, what else can I? Oh yeah, here's a question. What do you think about the fact that Caleb backstabs Tris so many times? It does happen quite
I
often.
think it's kind of a dick move, to be perfectly
Right.
honest. No, I think that he's kind of lost in his own personal world of trying to figure out what's right and what's wrong. I mean, ultimately, these movies really do put the question out there of what's right and what's wrong, because it's all about perspective. Janine is an antagonist, but she truly believes that she's doing the right thing. So even though she could be seen as the antagonist, in another perspective, she could be a protagonist. So I think Caleb's just another example of that.
I like that. Here's a question for you, Theo, from the Shailers, which might be the name for your fans. Was it fun to portray such an unconventional mother-son relationship with Naomi Watts? It really is quite a different relationship. You're a little frosty.
It's true, yeah. It was kind of tricky in the sense that it exists in the book, and it's obviously an interesting relationship, but it needed to be, you didn't want to just repeat what he had with his father and just like this guy, doesn't like both of his parents. So it needed to be kind of thought about, I guess. But I liked it. I think because what Naomi has, which is really interesting from doing the scenes with her, is on one hand she seems actually quite warm, kind of. So which is kind of off-putting, because then she also has this kind of power behind the eyes, which is really interesting and also very different from, say, Kate Winslet. It's a different kind of energy, so she's quite manipulative in that way.